In the far reaches of space, an alien empire known as the Zorathians had grown powerful beyond imagination. For centuries, they moved through the stars like a storm, conquering one world after another. Their ships were massive and sleek, their weapons unmatched by any other species they encountered. The Zorathians believed themselves to be unstoppable, and so far, no one had proven them wrong. Commander Valen stood on the bridge of his flagship, gazing at the holographic map that floated in front of him. It showed dozens of star systems under Zorathian control, each marked with their glowing insignia. He felt a deep sense of pride, but also impatience. To him, the galaxy was vast, and there were still countless worlds waiting to be claimed. His people needed resources, precious minerals and energy sources, to fuel their ever-expanding empire. Nothing would stand in their way. Meanwhile, light years away, Captain Laura Hayes sat in the command chair of her ship, the Aurora *. It wasn't the largest or most advanced warship in human space, but it was reliable. Built originally for exploration, the Aurora * had been modified over time to handle combat situations. Laura ran a hand through her short brown hair as she listened to the latest report from Alliance Command. Strange energy readings had been detected near the edge of human-controlled territory. Something big was happening out there, and it worried her. Laura turned to her crew. Lieutenant Daniel Brooks, the ship's communications officer, adjusted his headset while monitoring incoming signals. Commander Ryan Scott, her second-in-command, studied the navigation console, plotting the fastest route to the area. Both men were competent, but Laura knew this mission could test them all. She gave the order to set course for the coordinates, her voice steady despite the unease growing inside her. As the Aurora * approached the designated location, the tension aboard the ship became palpable. The crew worked silently, their eyes glued to their screens. Then, without warning, the darkness of space erupted with light. A fleet of Zorathian ships emerged from hyperspace, their forms jagged and menacing. They moved with precision, spreading out across the void like hunters circling prey. Smaller scout vessels detached from the main group and began scanning nearby planets. Laura clenched her fists as she watched the scene unfold on the viewship screen. "Keep us cloaked," she ordered quietly. "We don't want them knowing we're here." Her crew obeyed, ensuring the Aurora * remained hidden among the shadows of an asteroid belt. For now, they were safe, but for how long? Daniel leaned forward, frowning at his console. "Captain, I'm picking up unusual patterns in their transmissions. It sounds like instructions. They're planning something big." "What are they doing?" Laura asked, stepping closer to his station. "They're mapping the system," Daniel replied. "Looks like they're searching for something specific. Maybe resources." Laura nodded slowly. Whatever the Zorathians wanted, it couldn't be good news for humanity. She glanced at Ryan, who met her gaze with equal concern. "If they find what they're looking for, we'll have a problem," she said. "But if we act too soon, we might lose our advantage." The Zorathians continued their work, oblivious to the silent observers nearby. Laura knew they couldn't stay hidden forever. Sooner or later, they'd have to make a choice: retreat and warn Earth about the threat, or take a stand right here, right now. As she stared at the alien fleet, she felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on her. The fate of countless lives rested in her hands, and she couldn't afford to hesitate for much longer. The Aurora remained hidden among the asteroids, its crew watching silently as the Zorathian fleet continued its methodical sweep of the star system. Laura Hayes stood on the bridge, her arms crossed tightly over her chest. She could feel the tension in the air, thick enough to cut with a knife. Every member of her crew was focused, their eyes glued to their consoles, waiting for her next order. The Zorathians hadn't detected them yet, but that wouldn't last forever. Lieutenant Daniel Brooks adjusted his headset, his fingers flying over the keys of his console. "Captain," he said, his voice low but urgent, "I've analyzed their communication patterns further. They're definitely looking for something, something valuable. And they seem impatient. Laura frowned. Impatient? You mean they're not just here to conquer? Daniel nodded. It's possible. Their transmissions mention coordinates and resource scans repeatedly. Whatever they want, it's specific. It's not just about taking over planets. They're hunting for something. Commander Ryan Scott stepped closer, his expression grim. If they're searching for resources, that means this sector must have something they need. Something rare. Laura's mind raced. If the Zorathians were after a particular resource, it could explain why they'd come so far into human space. But what could it be? And more importantly, how could she stop them? The Aurora was no match for an entire fleet, even if they had the element of surprise. Still, retreating without doing anything felt wrong. Humanity couldn't afford to let these invaders take whatever they wanted. We can't sit here forever, Ryan said, breaking the silence. They'll find us eventually. Or worse, they'll leave before we learn more. Laura hesitated. She knew Ryan was right. Staying hidden wasn't an option, but neither was rushing headlong into a fight they couldn't win. She needed a plan, a way to strike hard and fast, then disappear again before the Zorathians could retaliate. Daniel, she said finally, turning to the communications officer, can you pinpoint where they're focusing most of their scans? Daniel studied his screen for a moment, then nodded. Yes, Captain. There's a planet in the outer rim of the system. They've sent multiple scout ships there already. It's small, barren, and uninhabited, but it seems to be their main target. Laura's eyes narrowed. That's where we'll make our move. Ryan raised an eyebrow. You're thinking of attacking one of their scouts. It's risky, Laura admitted, but it's also our best chance to send a message. If we disable one of their ships, we might buy ourselves some time. And maybe even gather intel from their wreckage. Ryan didn't look convinced, but he didn't argue. All right. How do you want to do this? Laura moved to the center of the bridge, addressing her crew. We'll use the asteroid field to mask our approach. Once we're close enough, we'll disable one of their scout ships with targeted EMP bursts. No direct weapons fire. It'll give away our position too easily. After that, we retreat immediately. Our goal isn't to win. It's to disrupt and survive. The crew nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. Laura took a deep breath, then gave the order. The Aurora slipped quietly out of its hiding place, weaving between the jagged rocks of the asteroid belt. The ship's engines hummed softly, careful not to draw attention. When they reached the designated area, Laura spotted a lone Zorathian scout ship hovering near the surface of the barren planet. It was smaller than the warships, but still bristling with alien technology. Target locked, Ryan confirmed, his hand steady on the controls. Fire, Laura commanded. The Aurora unleashed a burst of electromagnetic energy, striking the scout ship with precision. The alien vessel shuddered, its systems failing instantly. Sparks erupted from its hull as it drifted lifelessly in space. The crew of the Aurora cheered quietly, but Laura silenced them with a sharp glance. Don't celebrate yet, she warned. We're not done. Sure enough, alarms began blaring across the Zorathian fleet. The larger ships turned toward the Aurora*'s last known position, their weapons charging. Laura clenched her jaw. Get us out of here now. The Aurora darted back into the asteroid field, narrowly avoiding enemy fire. As they escaped, Laura allowed herself a small smile. They had struck the first blow, a bold move that would surely catch the Zorathians off guard. But she knew this was only the beginning. The real battle was yet to come. The Aurora raced through the asteroid field, its engines roaring as it dodged chunks of rock and debris. Behind them, the Zorathian fleet was in disarray, their ships turning to pursue but struggling to navigate the treacherous terrain. Laura Hayes gripped the armrests of her command chair, her knuckles white, as she watched the viewship screen. The alien vessels were gaining ground, their weapons firing bursts of energy that shattered nearby asteroids into smaller fragments. "Keep us moving," Laura shouted over the noise of the bridge. "We can't let them box us in." Commander Ryan Scott worked furiously at the helm, his hands flying across the controls. "They're fast, Captain," he said, his voice tense. "If we don't find a way to lose them soon, they'll catch up." Lieutenant Daniel Brooks glanced up from his console. "Their scans are getting stronger. They're trying to lock onto our position." Laura's mind raced. She had known this bold strike would provoke the Zorathians, but she hadn't expected them to react so quickly, or so aggressively. The aliens weren't just chasing them, they were hunting them. And if the Aurora didn't act fast, they'd be overwhelmed. "We need to use the field to our advantage," Laura said, thinking aloud. "Ryan, take us deeper into the asteroids. Use the bigger rocks to block their shots. Daniel, see if you can jam their sensors. It might buy us some time." The crew sprang into action. Ryan maneuvered the ship with precision, weaving between massive boulders that shielded them from enemy fire. Daniel worked on disrupting the Zorathians' scanning systems, his fingers tapping rapidly on his keyboard. For a few precious moments, the Aurora seemed to vanish from their pursuers' sights. But the reprieve was short-lived. The Zorathians adjusted their tactics, spreading out to surround the asteroid field. Their ships formed a perimeter, cutting off any escape routes. Laura clenched her fists as she realized the trap they were walking into. "They're boxing us in," she muttered under her breath. Ryan looked back at her, his expression grim. "We can't stay here forever, Captain. Sooner or later, they'll find us." Laura nodded, her jaw tightening. She knew what she had to do. "Prepare the EMP cannon for another shot. We'll hit one of their lid ships and create an opening. Then we punch through." Ryan hesitated. "That's risky. If we miss." "We don't have a choice," Laura interrupted. Her voice was firm, leaving no room for argument. "If we don't break their formation, we're dead anyway." The crew scrambled to carry out her orders. Daniel monitored the enemy fleet, pinpointing the weakest point in their line. Ryan steadied the ship, lining up the shot. Laura stood at the center of the bridge, her eyes fixed on the viewship screen. "Target locked," Ryan announced. "Fire," Laura ordered. The Aurora unleashed another burst of electromagnetic energy, striking one of the larger Zorathian ships. The alien vessel faltered, its systems temporarily disabled. The gap in their formation widened just enough for the Aurora to slip through. "Go! Full throttle!" Laura yelled. The ship surged forward, racing toward the edge of the asteroid field. Energy blasts streaked past them, narrowly missing the hull. Laura held her breath as the Aurora broke free of the debris and entered open space. Behind them, the Zorathian fleet regrouped, their pursuit relentless. "They're still coming," Daniel reported, his voice tight with worry. "I know," Laura replied, her gaze steady. "Set course for the nearest moon. We'll make repairs and plan our next move." As the Aurora sped away, Laura allowed herself a brief moment of reflection. Their attack had been successful in buying time, but it had also made one thing clear: the Zorathians were not going to give up easily. This was only the beginning of a much larger fight, a fight that humanity couldn't afford to lose. The Aurora limped through space, its damaged systems flickering as it approached a desolate moon orbiting a distant gas giant. The crew worked tirelessly to keep the ship running, their faces pale with exhaustion. Laura Hayes stood on the bridge, her eyes scanning the viewship screen. Behind them, the Zorathian fleet was still in pursuit, though they had fallen slightly behind after the daring escape from the asteroid field. For now, the Aurora was safe, but not for long. "Status report," Laura said, her voice calm but firm. Commander Ryan Scott glanced up from his console. "We've got multiple hull breaches and our portside thrusters are barely holding together. Life support is stable, for now. But if we don't fix the damage soon, we won't last another day. Lieutenant Daniel Brooks nodded in agreement. And that's not all. Their scans are getting stronger again. They're narrowing in on our position. Laura clenched her jaw. She knew they were running out of time. The moon ahead offered a temporary refuge, but it wouldn't shield them forever. Still, it was their best chance to regroup and repair. Set us down on the far side of the moon, she ordered. Use the terrain to hide us from their sensors. Ryan guided the Aurora toward the surface, carefully navigating the jagged cliffs and craters that dotted the barren landscape. The ship touched down with a shudder, kicking up clouds of gray dust. As soon as they landed, the crew sprang into action. Engineers scrambled to assess the damage, while others worked to reinforce the ship's shielding. Laura stepped off the bridge to check on their progress, her boots echoing against the metal floor. In the engineering bay, Chief Engineer Maria Lopes wiped sweat from her brow as she examined a ruptured coolant line. "We can patch this up," she said, looking up at Laura, "but it'll take time. And we're running low on spare parts." Laura nodded. "Do what you can. We'll make do with what we have." As repairs began, Laura returned to the bridge to review their situation. Daniel was hunched over his console, analyzing data from the destroyed Zorathian scout ship they had attacked earlier. His face lit up when he noticed something unusual. "Captain," he said, turning to her, "I think I found something important." Laura moved closer. "What is it?" "It's in their logs," Daniel explained. "They're searching for a mineral called Ethereum. It's rare, almost unheard of, but incredibly powerful. If they find it, they could use it to enhance their weapons and technology. That's why they're here." Laura frowned. "Ethereum. Are you sure?" Daniel nodded. "Positive. And based on their scans, it looks like this sector has traces of it. That's why they're so determined to secure this area." Laura felt a chill run down her spine. If the Zorathians succeeded in finding Ethereum, humanity would be facing an even greater threat. "We can't let that happen," she said firmly. "If they get their hands on it, we'll lose any chance of stopping them." Ryan stepped forward. $. "So what's the plan?" Laura thought for a moment. "We need to lure them away from the resource. Make them think there's something more valuable somewhere else." "But how?" Ryan asked. "They're already onto us." "We'll use the terrain to our advantage," Laura replied. "Set up decoy signals near the edge of the system. Make it look like a larger human fleet is waiting there. If we can draw them away from the moon and the Ethereum, we might have a chance." Ryan hesitated but eventually nodded. "It's risky, but it could work." Laura turned back to the viewship screen, staring out at the empty expanse of space. She knew the odds were against them, but giving up wasn't an option. Humanity's survival depended on their next move, and she wasn't about to fail. The Aurora sat hidden on the dark side of the moon, its crew working tirelessly to prepare for the next phase of their plan. Laura Hayes stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the holographic map displayed in front of her. The map showed the Zorathian fleet closing in on their position, their movements methodical and relentless. She knew they didn't have much time. "Decoy signals are ready," Lieutenant Daniel Brooks reported, his fingers hovering over the console. "If we activate them now, it'll look like a human fleet is waiting near the edge of the system." Laura nodded. "Do it, but make sure the signal is convincing. If the Zorathians suspect it's a trap, we're finished." Daniel adjusted the settings, creating false readings that mimic the energy signatures of multiple warships. When he was satisfied, he activated the decoy. On the viewship screen, faint blips appeared at the edge of the system, flickering faintly as if ships were moving into position. It wasn't perfect, but from a distance, it might fool the enemy. "They're responding," Ryan Scott said, pointing to the screen. The Zorathian fleet had paused its advance toward the moon and was now redirecting some of its ships toward the decoy signals. Laura felt a flicker of hope. So far, the plan was working. But she knew better than to celebrate too soon. The Zorethians weren't stupid. They would investigate the signals carefully before committing fully, and even if they took the bait, it wouldn't stop them forever. The Aurora still needed more time to finish repairs and to figure out how to keep the Exetherium out of their hands. Maria, Laura called over the ship's intercom. "How are the repairs coming?" Chief Engineer Maria Lopez's voice crackled through the speakers. "We've patched the hull breaches and stabilized the thrusters, but the EMP cannon is still offline. Without it, we won't stand a chance if they catch us again." Laura frowned. The EMP cannon had been their only real advantage against the Zorethians' superior technology. Without it, they were vulnerable. "Keep working on it," she said firmly. "We'll need every weapon we can get." As the crew continued their work, Laura turned her attention back to the Zorethians. Some of their ships had already reached the decoy location, scanning the area for signs of a human fleet. When they found nothing, they would likely double back. But by then, the Aurora needed to be ready. "We should set up another layer of deception," Laura said aloud. "If we can make them think there's something valuable here on the moon, it might keep them distracted longer." Ryan raised an eyebrow. "What do you have in mind?" Laura thought for a moment. "We'll rig one of our damaged drones to emit a strong energy signature, like it's guarding something important. If the Zorethians detect it, they'll assume it's worth investigating." Ryan nodded. "It's risky, but it could buy us more time." Working quickly, the crew prepared the drone and launched it from the Aurora. The small device floated just above the moon's surface, emitting a steady pulse of energy. On the Zorethian sensors, it would appear as though the humans were hiding something valuable nearby. Minutes later, the plan paid off. Several Zorethian scout ships broke away from the main fleet and descended toward the moon, their weapons charged and ready. Laura watched as they scanned the area, searching for whatever the drone was protecting. For now, the ruse was holding. But the tension on the Aurora was palpable. Everyone knew the Zorethians would eventually realize the truth. When that happened, the Aurora would face the full force of their wrath. Laura took a deep breath, her resolve hardening. They had bought themselves some time, but the real fight was still ahead. Humanity's survival depended on their next move, and Laura wasn't about to let them down. The Zorethian scout ships descended toward the moon, their sleek forms glinting in the dim light of the distant gas giant. Laura Hayes watched them on the viewship screen, her heart pounding as she waited for the moment they would realize the truth. The decoy drone was still emitting its false energy signal, but it wouldn't hold their attention forever. When the aliens discovered there was nothing to guard, they would turn their full fury on the Aurora. "Keep monitoring their movements," Laura said, her voice steady despite the tension gripping her chest. "As soon as they figure out the ruse, we'll need to be ready." Lieutenant Daniel Brooks nodded, his eyes glued to his console. "They're scanning the area now. It won't take long for them to see through the trick." Commander Ryan Scott stood nearby, his arms crossed tightly over his chest. "We've done all we can to delay them, Captain. But when they find us, we'll have to fight or run." Laura clenched her fists. Running wasn't an option. The Aurora was still damaged, and even if they managed to escape again, the Zorethians would keep pursuing them. No, this time they had to stand their ground and hope that humanity's ingenuity could make up for their lack of firepower. "Maria," Laura called over the intercom. "How are the repairs coming?" Chief Engineer Maria Lopez's voice crackled through the speakers. "The EMP cannon is back online, but at half power. It'll work, but only for one shot. After that, it's dead." "One shot might be all we need," Laura replied. She turned to Ryan. "Prepare the crew for combat. If we time this right, we can take out their lid ship and scatter the rest." Ryan hesitated. "And if we miss?" "We don't miss," Laura said firmly. Her tone left no room for doubt. Minutes passed like hours as the crew braced themselves for the inevitable. On the viewship screen, the Zorathian scouts continued their search, their movements growing more erratic. Then, suddenly, one of the ships stopped and turned sharply. Its scanners had detected the truth. The moon was empty. There was nothing valuable here. "They know," Daniel said, his voice tight with urgency. "They're heading back toward us." Laura took a deep breath. "Bring us out of hiding. Full power to the engines and shields." The Aurora rose from the surface of the moon, its battered hull gleaming faintly in the starlight. The Zorathian ships immediately locked onto it, their weapons charging. Energy blasts streaked through space, narrowly missing the human vessel as Ryan maneuvered the ship with practiced skill. "Target their lead ship," Laura ordered. "Wait for my mark." The crew worked quickly, lining up the shot while dodging enemy fire. The Aurora shuddered under the impact of a direct hit, but Laura didn't flinch. "Now," she shouted. The EMP cannon fired, unleashing a pulse of electromagnetic energy that struck the Zorathian flagship. The alien vessel faltered, its systems failing as it drifted lifelessly in space. For a brief moment, the enemy fleet hesitated, their formation breaking apart. But the victory was short-lived. The remaining Zorathian ships regrouped, their weapons trained on the Aurora. Laura knew they couldn't survive another assault. "Initiate self-destruct sequence," she ordered. "Everyone, get to the escape pods." The crew scrambled to obey, their faces pale but determined. As the countdown began, Laura stayed behind, ensuring everyone made it to safety. She was the last to leave, climbing into an escape pod just moments before the Aurora exploded in a brilliant flash of light. From the safety of the pod, Laura watched as the explosion engulfed several Zorathian ships, disabling them in the process. The rest of the fleet retreated, unwilling to risk further losses. Though the Aurora was gone, its sacrifice had bought humanity precious time, and dealt the invaders a blow they wouldn't soon forget. As the escape pods drifted silently through space, Laura allowed herself a small smile. They had lost much, but not everything. And as long as they were alive, the fight was far from over. The escape pods drifted silently through the cold void of space, their occupants shaken but alive. Laura Hayes sat in her pod, staring out at the wreckage of the Aurora. The explosion had been massive, lighting up the darkness like a dying star. Pieces of the ship floated aimlessly, mingling with the debris of several Zorathian vessels caught in the blast. For a moment, there was only silence, an eerie calm after the chaos of battle. Laura's mind raced as she replayed the events in her head. They had destroyed the lead Zorathian ship and crippled part of the fleet, but at a heavy cost. The Aurora was gone, along with much of its crew. Guilt weighed heavily on her shoulders. She had given the order to self-destruct, knowing it was the only way to stop the enemy advance. But that didn't make the loss any easier to bear. "Captain," came a voice over the comms. It was Lieutenant Daniel Brooks, speaking from his own pod. "Are you all right?" "I'm fine," Laura replied, though her voice betrayed her exhaustion. "What about the others?" "All accounted for," Daniel said. "Everyone made it out." Laura let out a shaky breath. At least they hadn't lost everyone. That was something. Small comfort, but still something. Before anyone could say more, a faint hum filled the air. The survivors turned their heads, watching as lights appeared in the distance. A squadron of human warships emerged from hyperspace, their sleek forms cutting through the debris field. Relief washed over Laura as she recognized the insignia of Alliance Command. Reinforcements had finally arrived. "This is Captain Laura Hayes of the Aurora," she said into the comms, her voice stronger now. "We need immediate assistance." One of the ships moved closer, its communication officer responding quickly. "Captain Hayes, this is Commander Elena Grant of the Defiant. We received your distress signal and came as fast as we could. What's your status?" Laura explained the situation. the Zorethians, the Ethereum, the ambush, and the destruction of the Aurora Asterisk. As she spoke, rescue shuttles launched from the Defiant Asterisk, retrieving the stranded crew members one by one. When Laura stepped aboard the larger ship, she was greeted by Commander Grant, a tall woman with sharp features and an even sharper gaze. "You did well, Captain," Grant said, her tone respectful. "Your actions have bought us valuable time." Laura shook her head. "Too many good people died today. If reinforcements hadn't shown up when they did." "But they did," Grant interrupted firmly. "And because of you, we now know what the Zorethians are after. We can prepare." Over the next few hours, Laura briefed the Alliance officers on everything she had learned. The Zorethians' search for Ethereum, their tactics, and their vulnerabilities. Intelligence teams analyzed data recovered from the destroyed scout ship, piecing together clues about the alien empire's plans. Laura felt a flicker of hope. Humanity wasn't powerless. Not yet. Later, as the rescued crew rested, Laura stood by a viewport, gazing at the stars. Ryan Scott joined her, his expression weary but determined. "What happens now?" he asked quietly. "We fight," Laura replied without hesitation. "The Zorethians won't stop until they get what they want. It's up to us to stop them." Ryan nodded slowly. "Even after everything, you're ready to keep going." Laura looked at him, her eyes steady. "We don't have a choice. Giving up isn't an option, not while there's still breath in our lungs." As the Defiant Asterisk plotted a course back to human-controlled space, word of the Aurora Asterisk sacrifice spread quickly. Across colonies and outposts, people began to rally, inspired by the bravery of Laura and her crew. The Zorethians had underestimated humanity once, and they would do so again. In the quiet moments before sleep claimed her, Laura thought about the road ahead. The fight would be long and brutal, but humanity had proven itself resilient time and again. For every blow dealt, they would rise stronger. And when the Zorethians returned, they would find not fear, but defiance. The galaxy was vast, and the odds were against them. But Laura knew one thing for certain. Humanity would not go quietly into the night. Weeks passed, and the scars of battle began to fade, but not the memories. Laura Hayes stood on the bridge of a new flagship, christened the Phoenix Asterisk. It was larger than the Aurora, its sleek design bristling with advanced weaponry and reinforced shields. The ship symbolized humanity's resilience, rising from the ashes of defeat to face the unknown. Laura felt a mix of pride and sorrow as she gazed at the viewship screen, where stars stretched endlessly into the void. The crew of the Phoenix Asterisk worked quietly around her, their faces focused but tinged with determination. Many were survivors from the Aurora Asterisk, while others had joined after hearing tales of its heroic sacrifice. Lieutenant Daniel Brooks manned the communications console, his headset adjusted carefully over his ears. Commander Ryan Scott stood nearby, reviewing tactical data on a holographic display. Both men had been through hell, yet they remained steadfast by Laura's side. "All ships are in position," Ryan reported, glancing up at her. "The fleet is ready." Laura nodded, her jaw tightening. Intelligence reports indicated that the Zorethians were regrouping, preparing for another assault. But this time, humanity wasn't caught off guard. Mining operations in the contested sector had been shut down, and all traces of Ethereum had been hidden or relocated. Reinforcements poured in from across human space, uniting under a single banner: survival. "We've fortified every colony in the outer rim," Daniel added. "If they come back, we'll be waiting." Laura turned to face them, her voice steady. "Good. But remember, this isn't just about defense. We need to take the fight to them, to show them that humanity won't back down." Her words resonated deeply with the crew. Since the loss of the Aurora Asterisk, Laura had become more than a captain. She was a symbol of hope. Her actions had inspired countless others to join the cause, turning fear into resolve. Even those who had once doubted humanity's ability to stand against such a powerful enemy now believed victory was possible. As the days turned into weeks, Alliance Command devised a bold strategy. Using decoys and false signals, they lured smaller Zorathian scout ships into traps, picking them off one by one. Each victory, no matter how small, bolstered morale and provided valuable intel. The aliens grew cautious, their movements slower and more deliberate. They were learning, but so were the humans. One evening, as the Phoenix orbited a distant moon, Laura found herself alone on the observation deck. She stared out at the stars, reflecting on everything that had happened. The loss of the Aurora still weighed heavily on her heart, but she knew her crew's sacrifice hadn't been in vain. Humanity was stronger now, united in purpose and prepared for whatever came next. Ryan entered the room, his footsteps soft against the metal floor. "You should get some rest, Captain," he said gently. "We'll need you at your best when they return." Laura smiled faintly. "I will. Just give me a moment." Ryan hesitated, then nodded. "You've done more than anyone could ask, Laura. Don't forget that." After he left, Laura took a deep breath, letting the quiet calm her racing thoughts. The road ahead would be dangerous, and the cost of failure unimaginable. But she also knew that humanity had something the Zorathians lacked: the will to fight for their future. Far beyond the reaches of known space, the Zorathians plotted their next move. Their forces gathered, their weapons upgraded, their resolve unshaken. They saw humanity as nothing more than an obstacle, a minor inconvenience in their quest for dominance. But they underestimated the strength of a united people fighting for their survival. As the Phoenix drifted silently among the stars, Laura felt a renewed sense of purpose. The galaxy was vast, and the odds were still against them. But humanity had faced impossible challenges before and triumphed. Whatever came next, they would meet it head-on. And when the Zorathians returned, they would find not fear, but fire.